Kind is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words. Consider yourselves warned. Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we break down the Rocky Horror Picture Show in excruciating detail, 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Leandra.
And I'm your other host, Kelly.
And today we have an amazing guest. She's the campy, kooky comedy queen from Birmingham, Alabama, the reigning Miss Southeast comedy queen, and just returned from National Miss Comedy Queen, where she was a top 5 finalist in the 2025 competition. Best known for competing on season 4 of Camp Wanakiki on Out TV. On top of all of that, she is a co-host of Flapping and Fawning podcast and a founding member of the Rocky Horror Hot Dog Shadowcast in Birmingham. It's the talented, the beautiful, the hilarious Flapjack.
Does this berm belong to you?
I was thinking the same thing. Yay!
Oh.
Hello, America. What starts with F and ends with CK? No, it's not fried mozzarella stick. It's Flapjack.
Oh, amazing. I'm so happy you're here. Very long time friend of the podcast. Last year when we roasted Kelly, not spit roasted, just regular roasted.
Yeah. Not the roast I wanted for my birthday, but
it was the roast you wanted.
Yeah, no.
It was the roast
We
you
can go to
deserved.
Paris anytime with an Eiffel Tower.
Yes, yeah, Flap contributed an amazing video to my roast, mostly focused on Oscar, which makes sense. He is a rich vein to mine for comedy.
Well, I know gay jokes like the back of my hand, so Oscar was pretty easy to do. The thing that was the hardest was finding roasts for Kelly's boobs, and so I just knew if all else fails, bring up 9/11. That always goes great.
It's true.
It's true.
Speaking of twins, but before we get started, and before I get onto a tangent about 9/11 yet again, can Flapjack...
Leandra actually planned 9/11.
I did not.
I knew it.
We're gonna start this over again, Kelly.
From the top?
No. Yes. So, Flapjack.
Words. Hello.
Flapjack. Hi. Before we get started, can you talk through your experience with Rocky and if you remember the first time you saw the movie?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, thank you both so much for letting me get to be on this podcast. I know I've been emailing with y'all for like years now, and I think what y'all do is so important. Getting to document minute by minute the podcast or the movie, but also documenting the callbacks that happen throughout, because this has become such an incredible resource that people are going to be able to use forever to celebrate this incredible film. And for me, Rocky Horror played a really big role in just coming out in general. My first memory of ever even hearing about the film, I was in 2nd grade and I was on a field trip, and across the street from where we were, there was a sign that said, "Tonight, Rocky Horror Picture Show." And I actually heard someone, like one of the chaperones on the field trip, say something homophobic because the Rocky Horror Picture Show was playing. Something like, "Oh, well, I hope they clean the seats by the end of the night." And I mean, they probably needed to anyway, but I don't know if it was appropriate to say to a bunch of 2nd graders, you know? So for me, growing up in the South, it was not always easy because my queerness was not loved, and it was really obvious to folks that I was going to grow up to be a big fat homo.
What?
But what? As I sit here in my pink blouse with my orange walls in my house. But yeah, so later on when I was in like high school, I read this book called The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And at the time I was really struggling with coming to terms with who I was and whether or not I should come out. I was playing peekaboo for the longest time, saying, "Oh, I'm straight. Oh, just kidding, I'm bi. Oh, just kidding, I'm gay. Oh, just kidding, I got saved. I'm straight now," things like that. But when I read that book, I found that the friend group in that book, their relationship was amazing because they did the Rocky Horror Picture Show together. And so from that, I started sneaking into the Rocky Horror Picture Show downtown, that same one where they cleaned the seats. I put my newspaper in the chair just in case on my very first time. But Yes, so I started going, and in Birmingham, the Rocky Horror Picture Show was something for in my time growing up, it was something that did not happen super frequently. It's one really big event called the Rocky Horror Masquerade Ball, and it's been around for like 35 years, and it was huge. It was at the historic Alabama Theater. I think there were about 500 people, and it was always sold out. So people in Birmingham really, really love it. But when you have a venue that big, I think it becomes difficult for folks to keep up with the culture of it and like get in on the inside jokes that are the callbacks. So I'm jumping forward a lot in my story, but that is why some friends and I who eventually joined the Rocky Horror Masquerade Ball cast created our own cast that's a lot more intimate and more callback focused called the Rocky Horror Hot Dogs. And we actually had our first show this year.
Woohoo!
So yes. Yeah, that's been my relationship with the movie. It just played such a big role in me coming out and
Oh,
learning about what I liked about myself. Also, I know that y'all often ask who you were most attracted to from the film. And it's always interesting to me because I feel like I was never attracted to the person that people claim to be attracted to. I mean, Columbia, I thought she was beautiful and great and all, but I often hear my gay friends say that like Frank or Rocky were their
yeah.
favorites. But Brad for me has
Brad,
always
totally
been
my
my
type.
type.
I know. One of my earliest fictional crushes, especially when he was, I mean, the floor show scene, especially, and I've talked about it on the show. Oh my God. That was a real
He has
awakening for
the
me.
best floor show moment, you know?
Yeah.
I love it. And
The
so
leg in the air. And yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Perks of Being a Wallflower because I read that for the first time last year just
oh
because I
really?
had never read it and I was like, "Yeah, I'll read this." I had no idea Rocky Horror was in it. So that was a really I was like, "Oh shit, I can't believe I never read that." Now, and it was a great book too. I obviously wasn't like
Yeah.
the target audience for it when I read it at my big age of 29 plus 4, but I still like really thought it was really great and I was like, "Oh man, I would have loved to have this as a teenager." But yeah,
Yeah.
everybody
My best friend in high school gave me a copy of that book when she graduated. She was a year ahead of me, and it was just such a sweet thing to get from somebody that I cared so much about. And I was on a cast at that point, and it was one of the many things that made me go, everything in life is about me and my enjoyment, and everything is cool.
it's just
Like
too
a
bad you can't read, but
yeah,
If
yeah.
only.
Yeah.
I never
Still made a
learned to
good
read.
doorstop. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that book is so formative. And for me, it came at exactly the right time in my life. And to be honest, I think that it saved my life, and by extension, the Rocky Horror Picture Show did, because I kept talking to my friends about how I wanted to see the movie, wanted to see the movie. So finally, mostly to get me to shut up, we had a movie night where we all watched it. And they would pause it every few minutes because I had a hard time understanding what was going on. And they were like, do you still not get what this is? Um, because I just grew up in a very sheltered environment, and they would pause and be like, "Oh no, Frank's not letting them leave," and and from there I was able to really catch on, and I think I've watched it at this point at least 500 times.
Yay.
That's wonderful. I know that when my niece, we tried to get her to watch it. Obviously, you were older than 5 years old, but my niece, she was like, I want to watch it. So, with her mom, my sister, we sat and had her watch just the songs, and she got the time warp and she liked that. And then by Sweet Tea, she was like, I don't think this is for me. Turn this off.
But it's interesting. She owes her existence to the movie.
Oh my God, was she made during a shadow cast?
Her,
She was
so
born during a Shadowcast. No, I'm making shit up. She wasn't, but
No, one of my very dear theater friends joined my Rocky cast, and then my sister joined my Rocky cast, and then they met each other and became the most useless cast members known to man. They fell in love. So then they quit Rocky and had a baby.
but not before. Didn't she get a chance to play pregnant Janet first?
No,
Oh, I
A
thought
no,
she got
the
to play
dream.
pregnant
no,
Janet.
that's my
Aw.
dream. That's
Well, it's
literally
also my dream, so we'll have to get each other
God.
pregnant.
we will keep trying.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
Don't give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
Wait, who did they play?
So Eric was just Tech and Amanda
Okay.
played Magenta. So
Oh, okay.
she,
You
Pregnant?
could
no, not
the niece
pregnant.
could definitely grow up to be like like a Columbia, hybrid of the two. Something
I'm
Yeah.
just glad he didn't play Riff, because
No,
yeah, then
that
she
would
would have been
be,
born with
It would have
like,
been too poetic.
yeah.
yeah, that would be very awkward, but could be worse. So, Kelly,
Uh-huh.
what happens in this movie? The movie that we're doing a podcast for?
Oh, right. So the Rocky Horror Porno Show.
No.
So we are in minute 86 of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't remember if we said that. And we're still halfway through our big moment where Riff bursts through the doors and dramatically declares, he continues with, "We return to Transylvania, prepare the transit beam." Magenta turns and starts to go to the door, but then Frank cries, "Wait!" which causes her to turn around. And then he kind of like hems and haws and then goes, "I can explain." So then Magenta returns to Riff's side and gives a big indulgent smile. Riff actually stops smiling and gets serious. Then Frank goes to Columbia and whispers something to her very briefly, and then Rocky whispers something to him very briefly, and then they run off in opposite directions. Then he goes to center stage, covers his eyes with his hands, and we see Columbia running as best she can in those heels over to a light stand, aiming it, and then hitting the switch to turn on a purple light. Then Rocky hits exactly one button and one switch on a board thingy. What is that called? A board?
I'd call it a board. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the operating board.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably an operating board. Sorry, I clearly don't do theater tech. Anyway, so he hits one button and one switch. That seems to cause the curtain to slowly descend behind Frank, which exposes like this, because of the spotlight. He's got a big spotlight with his silhouette on it. And then maybe possibly it also makes some music play in the background. It's unclear whether the instrumental music is real. But the curtain's descending, Frank's center stage, the music starts. We see that Scott, Brad, and Janet, and then Rocky joins them. They're all huddled in the stage left corner. Brad is kind of behind the right corner of Scott's wheelchair, and Janet is at his right side, and then Rocky is on the left of Brad. So they're all in the corner. Frank starts lowering his hands slowly while singing. And he says, "On the day I went away." And then the gang in the corner joins in with, "Goodbye." And then Frank continues, "Was all I had to say." And that's the minute.
And what a beautiful minute it was.
It was actually a
Truly.
beautiful minute, yeah.
Yeah. Before we forget, Kelly, we finished a song. Flap, we finished a song.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, what do we think of it? It's out of 14, Kelly?
Yeah. 14 out of 5, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Carry
That's
the
your
one, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, so it's out of 5 stars. How do you rate the song? The song being Wild and Untamed Thing. Did we rate Rose Tint My World separate? I think we did, right?
I believe so.
So this is just Wild and Untamed Thing. Do we do half stars?
We do.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's difficult because with it being like the second half of this kind of like
Mhm.
montage, but it does like pick up, so it's really fun. So in my fraternity days in college, we did this thing called, there was like a synchronized swimming competition, and so I got all of my fraternity, and it was for a sorority, and so I got my fraternity brothers to recreate this scene with me, and none of them had seen the movie before.
This is
This
very
is very
homoerotic.
gay.
Yeah,
Gay.
that you're popular down at the frat house. Not so much. Actually, I was about to say not so much at the sorority, but I'm sure you were popular at the sorority too for different reasons.
Oh, I was popular everywhere I went.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's why I wear wigs for a living. But yes, so I was like on someone's shoulders as we would perform this. So I have lots of like good memories that come along with this song.
Oh, that's sweet.
But again, I don't think it's one that I would get in the car and be like, "Oh, I got to put on Wild and Untamed Thing," like right now. I would say out of 14, I think it's a 10.
Yeah. And how about out of 5? Just if that were the crazy rating
Oh,
system we were
okay,
Yeah, that's
okay.
wild.
I would say 3.5.
Okay.
I think that's I think that's the ratio. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
would
never
give
knew
it
I was so good
two
at
and a
math.
half.
Yeah.
A
but
two and a
only
half.
yes, but so it wouldn't be that bad, but and I already bitched about this, but I think the transition into plural is really lazy. Like if it were just the like I'm a wild and an untamed thing,
Hmm.
etc. But when it gets to we're a wild and an untamed thing, we're a bee with a deadly sting. I already talked about the hive mind implications of this, which is fun,
Yeah.
especially with the bee mention. But I don't think that's what he was going for. I think he was just like, let's just say we now. So it bothers me. And apart from that, it's just kind of an average song to me. So there you go, 2.5. I
Yeah, that's
like
an
what's
interesting
happening in the
thought.
minute. I love the kick line
I hardly ever
slash
think of the
Frank's cool
syntax. I
moment.
just accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
fair. So for me, I don't know. The lyrics are garbage. They really are. Even when it's not doing the weird plural and just like the laziness, they're just not great lyrics. But the music is great. And the orchestral break where they're just running around and hopping, like that's very like yakety sax or like it's very goofy in a good way. So I don't know. I think 3.5 is probably where that lives for me.
Okay.
As I'm thinking about Wild and Untamed Thing, I should have mentioned before, I have been on several iterations of Shadowcasts, but I have played a Transylvanian, I've played Frank, and I've played Brad. And on Wild and Untamed Thing, I think it's so fun as Frank to play with what his arms are doing when you can't see them on the screen.
Oh, that's
Because
fair.
there's a lot of that there, and it's like so in his face. So you have to like serve face, but you can kind of do whatever you want with your arms for a while, and that's really fun because
Interesting.
there's
So what
so
do you
much you
do with
can
your
play with here.
arms?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. Sign language is usually very popular and inclusive, of course. But playing with like the bee stinging you, things like that. There's just a lot of opportunities there.
That's awesome.
I love it. So, what are your thoughts about this minute? Lap, do you have anything that you specifically love about what's going on in this specific minute?
Yes, so with minute 86, the biggest observations that I had from watching it back this time that I had never noticed before. One was the costuming in terms of like the shoes that Magenta and Riffraff are wearing. You kind of see Magenta turn around and walk away for a second before Frank says, "Wait." And I had never noticed how like spiky yet floppy the tops of those boots are. And I think it's a really interesting detail that takes those shoes to another level for me.
It's like a slutty, like Santa elf sort of
Oh,
thing.
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
favorite.
Yeah, her shoes are very interesting and difficult to match.
Yeah, like I was
Mhm.
thinking how because I would love to play these two one day, especially these two costumes, but I had never noticed how specific those shoes are. I've never seen that replicated before. Having the pull straps so exaggerated like that, it's just really, really interesting. And those are some cunty stilettos. Can
They
I say
really
that on
are.
this
You
program?
can. Cunt,
Okay,
cunt, cunt,
good.
cunt.
Oh yeah.
Like, how
We
else shall
warned
I
them.
describe Kelly?
Need I remind
Oh
you?
yeah, that's right.
That's clearly a
Uh,
dolphin for those of you who aren't familiar with the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, the smoke that's billowing around them in the commentary, Patricia Quinn said that smoke was oil, which I guess means they were
Oh.
burning oil for it, or
that's
I don't know.
gotta be what that means.
Which seems crazy. Were
Or could it
fog
be like,
machines not invented?
yeah, or could it be like essential oils? Did they have like a machine back there? But
That
maybe it
doesn't.
just
Oh,
smelled
it's a
like lavender.
diffuser.
I
Yeah,
will
just a giant
say,
diffuser.
and I hope nobody gets angry with me for saying this, but I will say by this point in the commentary, at least Patricia is quite drunk and not
That
always
doesn't sound
making
like her.
sense. I know it doesn't sound like her. I hope I don't get like canceled like that one
Yeah.
drag
Hopefully I don't
queen
get
who played
demonetized.
her on Snatch Game, but
Well, that
it's
was
true.
just offensively stupid.
I didn't even see it. I
Did,
didn't
and I
watch
was
that
like,
season.
gross.
It also
Yeah,
is kind of like I don't know if that's funny. It's just
It
kind of sad.
wasn't.
Yeah,
no.
even if it's true, it's not really amusing, right? But
Yeah, that Aiden Zane's choice to play Patricia was such an odd one. And to not even do it was like, let me do this character that no one's really gonna recognize. I just thought it was really, really
yeah.
bizarre.
But
Yeah.
anyway, well, because he didn't they claim to have like worked with her or something, or I
Yeah,
don't know.
they
Yeah,
said that they've had lunch with Patricia Quinn,
Mhm.
but then she like came back and was like, I don't know this person, and I think they're untalented.
And I won't respond to it. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that being very offensive. But yeah, so I don't know. So she might not have meant what she said, or she might not have been articulating it very well.
Mm.
They're being silly and goofy guys by this point in the commentary is all I can say. So there you go.
They have fun.
She also said, I'm pressing a button, a sonic beam, when she goes towards the back. So
Okay.
Oh,
that's as canonical as anything. I guess it is operated via button to
sure.
prepare the transit beam. And it's sonic?
Wait, so this is when she like turns around for a second. Like
Yeah. I
and
mean, I
that's
think
what
she
she's
meant like I'm on my way to go press a button. But
Oh, I
yeah.
see.
But yeah, she said, I'm pressing a button, a sonic beam. So there you go. That's not what sonic means, but it
No.
could be a button.
Yeah, Sonic is a fast food restaurant. I don't know.
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're so good.
Especially where you live. We don't have them up here, unfortunately.
Wait, you don't have those are regional?
No, they have
Yeah.
one in Baltimore. They have a couple
I
in
mean, I'm
Baltimore, and I
saying, but
love
they don't
them.
have them where I live in
That's
Philadelphia.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, and what's the address?
She lives in the Liberty Bell.
It's
Oh,
true.
I see. Did you crack it, Kelly?
How it cracked.
It's
Yeah,
her crack.
exactly. That's my crack. There are like regional Liberty Bells all over Pennsylvania. I don't know if you knew that.
I've seen them. It's so weird. I
I've
think that
seen
it was
it.
you. It was you and Brad that were like, look out into the distance in this lake. Do you see a bell? I'm like, I know, but why? And
Oh,
there's
I
no.
think you're thinking of the weird little Statue of Liberty that's in the middle of that one lake.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
That might be
we have
what
that
I'm thinking
too.
of. That's so dumb.
Anyway, it's awesome.
Philadelphia, what the fuck is your problem?
To be
Yeah, what the
fair,
hell, Philly?
that's more central PA, the Statue of Liberty, but yeah. Anyway, she's pressing a button, a sonic beam. And I guess while I'm on my commentary kick, I'll add the last note I have from that, which is Patricia Quinn pointed out that Richard O'Brien momentarily brings the gun in front of her face and said that really pissed her off and that she'll never forgive him for covering her face for like a nanosecond. So I mean, she
That's
was like
fair.
kidding, but it was also I
So
was like
valid.
the idea that even like was noticeable to her was so funny and on brand.
I'm
So there
obsessed
you
with
go.
her being such a diva.
Oh yeah,
Like you better work, Patricia Quinn.
yeah.
I had one
Me-
other observation from this minute, and that was that when Columbia goes to work the spotlight, there's the painting of the Mona Lisa behind her, but
Mhm.
on like the mantle of that, there are these gnome figurines.
I know. I love them so much.
I had never noticed that before. Like, what's the deal with the gnomes?
It's all part of Brian Thompson, who is alive. His set
Yeah.
design includes so many tchotchkes. His concept was that Magenta and Riff are like being humans the way that they think that humans probably are. Like the reason that they're eggs is because he feels strongly that Magenta would have chickens and they'd
Sure.
just be
Mhm.
anywhere.
Leandra,
Sure.
I thought the cast had an Easter egg hunt.
Yeah,
Why
I
would they
did
have an
too.
No.
No. Why would they have an Easter egg hunt in the fall? Yeah, that is one of two urban legends that I love telling people, well, actually, that's not true at all. And it's just eggs are there because Magenta ought to have chickens. The Easter egg thing is like a much later internet thing that people just made up one day.
I can't believe she
Yeah,
has eggs just lying around in this economy.
I know. Well, it was in that economy.
Well, that too. I mean,
In
who
this
was
economy,
president
it
at the
probably
time?
wouldn't. Yeah.
Not Nixon.
Of Britain. Well, I guess it took place in the US. Yeah, no, it was not Nixon. I guess we can't go through this again. But I think what we determined was that the speech must have been like pre-recorded and like listened
Yes,
to
it would
later
have
for it to
been
make sense.
Mm.
pre-recorded and then 2 months later to line up with the date of the plane dealer,
Yeah.
probably. So within that same year, though.
Yeah. So I guess Lyndon Johnson, right? That's who succeeded Nixon.
No, I think it was Ford,
I don't
Okay.
right?
know.
Gerald
I
Rudolph Ford.
Clearly I
And
don't know.
I certainly knew that off the top of my head.
I see. Yeah, actually, weren't Nixon and Lyndon Johnson opposite political parties? Don't at me. I have big boobs. I can't know things.
Yeah,
I'm just a sexy little baby.
You're not one of those things.
There's at least two of them I'm not, possibly three.
You're just not a baby.
That's fair.
We're
So
smart.
true. Yeah, I
sure.
mean,
Oh,
some would say I'm not little. Not where it counts. Anyway, so Frank whispers to Columbia and Rocky so briefly that he could not have said more than, to Columbia especially, he could not have said more than one word. Rocky maybe two. So they already knew how to operate these things, which isn't surprising for Columbia, but is surprising for Rocky. And he either went to them and yelled like lights, switchboard, or he like they had a code word. I don't know. Thoughts? Am I thinking too much about this?
They clearly figured this out during dress rehearsal, of which they
Mm.
definitely had.
I mean, yeah, we've discussed before like whether the dance routine was transmitted to them via the Medusa somehow.
Well, I think there can be two theories behind this. So I know when I did the stage version of the show, there was a lot of conversation about this has all been done before, particularly with the lab scenes though, but I would think that that extends to like Frank has trapped people before, such as Eddie, and they all went through the same experience that Brad and Janet go through. And so I wonder if I'm going home has also happened in that sort of a scenario where it's just the same thing happening on repeat for any of the victims of Frank. But the thing that happens differently this time is Riff and Magenta step up and have a coup. So that's one thought. But I also think, like you were saying in the song that came before this, Wild and Untamed Thing, they become this hive mind mentality. So I think that it probably was transmitted through the Medusa or
Oh
whatever it
yeah.
took for them to become the hive mind. They all just knew
Yeah, and I
what to do.
guess like this could just be an extension of the hive mind. That's a good point.
Dance is an STD.
No.
Ooh, my favorite kind of STD.
But yeah, what else you got, Leandra?
I have a couple of things on We Return to Transylvania. When you see Frankenfurter, if you look over his shoulder to Susan Sarandon and Barry Bostwick, you see Susan Sarandon very clearly step on Barry Bostwick's foot with her stiletto heel, and
Oh
he
god.
winces in pain
Oh my
and
god.
tries to cover it. It
What a
is
pro.
it is amazing. He just like it's clear that it's like the seething sort of white hot pain, and he's just like, gotta keep going. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, and lest we be too hard on Susan Sarandon, reminder again that this is when she was at her sickest and basically
Yeah.
at death's door with pneumonia. This scene specifically.
Kelly,
So
say hard on again.
hard on.
Ugh.
Apply directly to the forehead. Um,
No.
anyone?
I think that it's just her getting back from when Barry Bostwick slammed his fist down on her hand in dinner scene. They were just beating the shit out of each other. It's great.
It's true.
And that's the kind of romance that I want. I was inspired by Rocky Horror.
Yes, exactly. It's
So I have two more notes. One is kind of tiny. I just noticed today when I was doing my rewatch the long stalks of like wheatgrass or beach weeds or whatever flanking Riff and Magenta. They're really trying to sell this we're at the beach sort of thing. And I just love a theme party. Frankenfurter has really turned this entire auditorium into the silliest beach party possible. And I thank him for that. It's great.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point. I'm actually really glad you mentioned that because I thought about bringing up those plants as an observation, but I didn't think about how that kind of ties into the lawn or the beach chairs as well. Like, yeah, I wonder if they had sand on the floor too.
they had little bits of sand like around the palm trees. It
Mm.
like there were bits of that. I want to say that there wasn't sand in the audience pit, but it was beach chairs, so they
oh,
definitely would live there.
it's rough. It gets everywhere.
No, Kelly.
Sorry. Someone should do a minute by minute podcast of Star Wars sometime.
One day.
Anyway, yeah, someday.
So
Well, them having sand in the auditorium, it honestly reminds me of my first experience seeing Rocky Horror because, you for a lot of casts, you throw rice in the wedding
yeah,
scene. And
Mhm.
to this day, the shoes that I wore to my very first Rocky Horror
Oh,
Shadow cast, like I find rice in every now and then.
you still
Uh,
have them?
that's
yeah.
amazing.
I can make shoes last for a very long time, mostly because I have so many pairs of them. Have I mentioned I'm a drag
Mhm.
queen?
I would think that would be hard on shoes. I guess I don't know anything. Oh, hard on.
Ugh. Sorry. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah. Wow. I not only don't have, but would not fit any of the shoes I had in high school. So,
I think that up until very recently, I still had a couple of pairs. I really hope that I still have my platformed sneakers with the red flame vinyl on the sides because I
nice.
need them for an upcoming 90s party that I'm
Yes,
going to.
God.
They're hideous. I love them so much. I really hope that I still have them. I think I do. But My final note, and this was a really interesting one that Facebook kind of reminded me to look into. So Peter Rob King, who you may recall from minute 5 of our podcast, was the makeup chief. Pierre LaRoche was the designer of the makeup, but Peter Rob King was the one actually there in charge of doing the makeup. And I saw a quote on Facebook floating around about Frank's makeup during this minute, and I went to my copy of Rocky Horror from Concept to Cult by Scott Michaels to read the entire interview that that quote was from. And Peter Rob King confirmed that the smeared off makeup and the tattoo was actually intentional.
Ooh.
He said that they use oils and friction to deteriorate the makeup since water itself wasn't enough. Frank looked too pretty just out of the pool, and the explanation given was we had to fake it for the camera. We accentuated it deliberately. In the pool, things have gone wrong for Frank, and he is deteriorating. His life is changing, and it was a point required to be made in terms of film.
I'm actually really glad you mentioned that because I was kind of holding off till the next minute to mention the smudging of the makeup. But in the times I've played Frank, that's been one of my favorite moments to do because you really have to be intentional with how you place the makeup. Do y'all do that when you
Oh,
shadow
yeah.
as Frank?
Do we what? Smear our
Sme-
makeup?
Like
Yeah.
smear the
I
makeup.
do my best, yeah. Of course, my makeup is so excellent, it's hard to smear it or get it, but yeah.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah, you don't. But, plus you're so much sweatier than me. That's not really true. You know
How
what
can
will
I be
never
sweaty? I'm constantly too dehydrated to sweat.
and what will never you find a way. What will never ever smear are the deadly sting tattoos we use, which I've already plugged in a previous minute from this section of the movie. But yeah, the temporary tattoos that we use for those Frank Boss tattoos, those aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, they'll last 2 weeks or
Oh yeah,
more.
I keep mine are still on for days whenever I play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that to like one time I put one on the wrong arm like a dumbass when I was getting ready and I was like shit and I basically had to remove the skin of that arm to get it off. Yeah. I basically just had to like flay myself, but
Yeah,
yeah.
an emergency skin graft.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Rocky tattoo curse, Flapjack?
Mm.
No.
Okay, so in my experience, and a lot of things have kind of informed this for me, if you get the boss tattoo, within a year, you stop doing Rocky. Like
What?
99% of the people I know who have that boss tattoo within a year have stopped doing Rocky.
Interesting.
Obviously,
I
there are exceptions to that rule, but
But
the
that's so
yeah.
fun.
I
but
do have
the
one drag queen
majority.
friend who has the boss tattoo, and I need to ask her if she is still shadow casting at all. But she's like a Lady Gaga impersonator named Mr. Miss Adrian out of Orlando. Very, very talented queen. Yeah, I wonder if she does. She's the only person I know who has the boss tattoo. I know other people with the Rocky tattoo, and they still do it
Yeah,
off and on.
but specifically the boss
The
tattoo,
Rocky tattoo?
like the 4711 or the lips.
Oh no, the person I know that has like a Rocky tattoo, it's just like the lips, but it's where the boss
Oh,
tattoo is.
oh,
So
I see what you mean,
yeah,
like just
it's
a
just
Rocky
a Rocky
tattoo. Yeah,
tattoo.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
fine. That's not cursed, but yeah.
good to know. Is the 4711 tattoo cursed?
I don't think so.
No.
Good. Well, the first
Okay,
Yeah.
time
great.
I did the 4711 tattoo, I did the Karen from Mean Girls. You know how she does the K on
Mm.
her chest in the mirror and it's
Oh,
backwards?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was in the mirror because making it's all
Iconic.
dots, and I did the dots, and I like turned around. I was like, oh wait, that's fully backwards.
Yeah.
But with the 4711 tattoo, when I play Frank, one of my favorite things to do, because in drag I have like a certain perfume that I use, but I feel like Frank would not use that same one that I do. So I get 4711 to wear as Frank and to try to have a little bit more immersive of an experience. But have y'all ever smelled it?
I have. It is
No.
not my favorite smell.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
I've heard that it smells like a whorehouse.
Oh, that's nice. No, I think it smells like bug spray.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
it
that too.
smells not like something that I would want to smell like.
Yeah, just because we're on the topic of perfume, I have a cute story from my boyfriend Brad, who has also been on the podcast, also plays Brad. And one time when we were
Lucky boy.
I know, right? Lucky me. But
Brr.
we were
I've seen
packing
it.
it's true. because we stay at Leandra's house when we do Rocky now. We were packing up and Brad said, "Oh no, I forgot my blue jeans for Brad." And I was like, "Brad doesn't wear blue jeans at any point." And then he went, "No, no, no, my Versace blue jeans. That just seems like the kind of all-American cologne that Brad would wear." And I was like, "Are you gay?" But also it's really cute.
Well,
And the
Kelly, I
answer
might
is
have some bad news
yes.
for you.
Yes, he's gay.
Oh my god. Yeah, that
He's
was
not
probably the
gay,
most
he's an
homosexual
actor.
thing he's ever said. That was
Well,
just so
he's
cute. I
acting
mean,
pretty gay then.
to quote Trixie Mattel, is he a gay F word? But
I just
yeah,
appreciate, I mean, I love though when people go to that level of
I
detail and
know.
think about like not just what you look like, but what you smell like. I mean, that's a whole drag thing for me, but I think it also applies in Rocky. Like you should be thinking
Oh
about
yeah.
where
I
you
do that
smell
kind of
too.
thing all the time. Like there's like little things that I'm like, I know the audience won't see this, but it helps me feel like I'm,
Yeah.
I've got every detail perfect. So
Listen, I'm going to completely disagree. The only smell that I want on my stage is not BO.
yeah.
Like,
Fair.
I
And I hope one day we accomplish that with our cast.
Oh
imagine,
It's
no.
not that day. Yeah. It's
like, it,
easy if you try.
yeah. Rocky's just, it's not even that anybody is intentionally showing up as a smelly kid. It's just some people have that stank, and I can't stop that.
But do you think any of the actual people in the movie would have a stank?
Yes.
Who are you
Um,
thinking?
Hmm. I'd say Riff and Magenta probably have
Magenta,
a musk.
surely.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they got that stank.
Yeah, yeah.
Riff likes it.
Ugh. But
Yeah.
true, but ugh.
I feel like Rocky is kind of like a prepubescent. You know, he's either not using any deodorant at all or like spraying Axe cologne all over himself in the tank.
I think that Eddie probably smells very like pheromone heavy, like kind of that
Mm,
stank that's like you don't hate it though. You're like, ooh, oh, ooh, ugh, ooh,
yeah, it just like works with your chemicals and
yeah.
gives you
You
something to
know,
grab onto.
I wonder if the Transylvanians in the bunch smell just weird because they're aliens. Like,
Mm,
NASA makes a perfume slash cologne or like helped develop it that you can buy that smells the way space smells. They helped develop it as part of their like program to get astronauts ready to go into space. But you can just buy it if you wish. I've been tempted to buy a sample, but everyone says it's a very upsetting smell. I've heard people say it smells like evil computers or something, but yeah.
Oh, I think I know that smell. Like it's just if you're in one of those like computer rooms where all of the hard drives are, like in an office before they
Yeah,
had
maybe.
cloud.
Although I think that smells kind of comfy.
evil computers.
Yeah, I, don't, I mean, I've heard different
I don't
descriptions of it. It's
know.
apparently a very unusual smell. So one would assume that Transylvania also smells different than our home planet. And who knows what type of biological
I mean, we won't know until we get Rocky
processes.
Horror, the 4D experience.
Thank you.
I'd watch that. I'd smell that. I'd
I
feel
would love
that.
to experience that, you
Yeah.
know? Like, and then, when they splash water on your face in those 4D
Yeah.
experiences, they'll just splash Frank's cum on your face.
Oh my god,
Delicious.
yes. Yeah, I
Hmm.
would have my mouth open. I mean, I guess in a way the Shadowcast is Rocky Horror the 4D experience, and we do splash things on people's faces, usually not cum.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah. Oh yeah.
Damn it, I invented something that already existed. Not again.
I just picture you in like your Frank lab gown, like just pissed off, yeah.
If nobody has any other notes, let's go to callbacks.
Callbacks.
And Flapjack, you go first. What are your
Oh
favorite
my
callbacks
God.
for this?
You're the
I'm
guest.
so honored. I was actually surprised. I have three that I really, really love in this minute. The first one is there's like a moment of silence after prepare the transit beam. And you can say hair by Dairy Queen, costumes by Dragon Ball Z. That is always a
Mhm.
really fun one.
Oh, I love
But
That's
that.
good. Yeah.
I've been changing that out recently because the line that immediately follows is, wait, I can explain. And one of my favorites is, what do you say when you get caught fucking the cat?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I can explain. That one always gets a bigger reaction than the Dragon Ball Z one. And
Mm-hmm.
then lastly, When Rocky is adjusting the operating board, I like to yell, "Ladies and gentlemen, an ITT Technical Institute graduate."
Yes, I say I got my degree from ITT Tech. That's like my favorite from this.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
same deal. And tragically, more and more irrelevant with each passing year, less of a
I
laugh as the
know.
audience gets younger, and I stay the same age, 29.
Same.
There you
I
go.
appreciate
Yeah.
the folks in the audience who get it though. I'm like, you all
Yes,
suffered through those
exactly.
commercials. You know what Education Connection is too.
Those are
A-
amazing. Like
Any
that
others? Sorry, I thought there were three.
that is
Oh no,
three.
those were my three.
Yeah.
Oh, that was three?
Yeah, Hair
Yes.
by Dairy Queen,
Okay.
Costumes by Dragon Ball
Oh,
Z,
yep. Okay. I
Fucking
can't
the Cat.
count.
Kelly can't count. Kelly can't count.
And
Kelly
Leandra
can't
can't read.
count.
What a pair we are.
All
Uh,
right, Kelly, what are your callbacks?
just as an addendum to the fucking the cat one, after he says, I can explain, I've heard explain it to the kittens. But also, sometimes people do a more PG version of that, of like, what do you say when you get caught in your Rocky costume or something like that? I
Mm.
agree. I got my degree from ITT Tech is probably my favorite. I like it's a continuation of the callback from the previous minute where you're singing along with Riff, but when he says, prepare the transit beam, magenta, start the house. So, and then of course, when Columbia turns on her light, Columbia Pictures presents the color purple, and then usually they say something along the lines of like featuring the shadow of alfalfa. I've heard something to do with Katy Perry because Frank looks sort of like her. That's not really relevant anymore, but yeah, there you go. But that's all I've got. Leandra?
I have a couple more. The first one is Magenta, lesbian orgy in the parking lot, and that's when she turns around. And then, wait, she comes back. Instead of the, what do you say when your mom catches you fucking the cat or whatever, you can say, I have one more song in my contract. Or this is a thing that I wish that I didn't do. And I understand that it does make the audience laugh, but it is kind of an irritating cringe thing. When I hear that callback, the what do you say when your mom catches you fucking the dog or whatever, I say get out of my apartment when I'm playing Frank.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
But usually I don't like breaking the fourth wall that aggressively. It is fun though. And then there's For Tonight and Tonight Only, Liza Minnelli with Alfalfa's Shadow and Buckwheat standing in the foreground with a heart on singing I'm Going Homo.
Say hard on again.
Yes.
Heart on.
Hard on. Yeah.
It makes me think like that one, the what do you say when you get caught fucking the cat? Someone yelled that at our live show, you know, and so when you're not shadow casting, like, or when you are shadow casting, right, the show just continues going because it's playing right behind you. But when you have all the actors on stage and they have to react to the audience yelling shit like that, that was the one that I think broke all of us because it was not on our script. Like we had not prepared it at all. And so everyone was just so shook when we heard about someone fucking the cat.
My pet peeve when I go to Rocky Horror Show productions is when people do movie specific callbacks, like
Mm.
you have no fucking neck, that sort of thing,
Yeah, it
to the
doesn't make any sense.
criminologist. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
So if you do that and you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to do some ASMR right now. You're a bad person when you do that, and it's not
Been a
good.
bad person.
It's really
Been a naughty audience member, haven't you?
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, if you're listening to this and driving, I apologize for the hard on that you now have.
It's not a stick shift.
No.
Shift it.
Well, with the Rocky Horror Show, like you're right, Leandra. There are a lot of callbacks that just don't make sense, and so, but I think you also get the opportunity to kind of come up with some new ones that are really fun. I think I came up with 2 callbacks for Once in a While, and that was really fun to get to hear people yell that because I was playing and singing as Brad in those moments, and so that was always the hardest part since I was like the only person on stage not to break during those. But it was just a fun new way to approach it.
Next minute, I'll be sharing a story of a callback that I created that unfortunately has life in other states now. But that is a story for another day.
And it's a special thing between me and Leandra.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely hype it up. The callback is worth the hype, right, Leandra?
It really is.
Yeah.
Everybody loves this.
Oh, God.
Everyone's saying it.
It's a very common callback.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
If you loved fucking the cat, then you'll love Next Minute.
Well, I don't think we're don't think we're gonna do any better than that.
Flapjack, do you know how we finish our episodes?
Yeah. Now.
You don't have to go home,
but you
Can
can't,
but you
go
can't
home.
stay home.
Stay
So
here.
So get the fuck
Get the
out.
fuck out.
To the late night double feature picture show.
Nobody wants us to have fun anymore. Whatever
Yeah.
happened to eating babies during the dinner scene? That's what I got into this for.